It's time for Talkward. Professionally funny people telling awkward and cringeworthy stories. And now, your host, weekly humorist, editor-in-chief, Marty Dundix.
Hi, and welcome to Talkward. I'm Marty Dundix, editor-in-chief of Weekly Humorist magazine, and this is Talkward, a fun little podcast where professionally funny people come to tell awkward and cringeworthy stories. I'm so excited for today's guest. I just met her recently at the New York Comedy Music Festival. Jessica Delfino, welcome to Talkward.
Hi, Marty.
Thanks for being here.
I'm so happy to be here.
You came in here on the most badass Batmobile bicycle I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's a pretty rad bike.
It's like that. It has that kind of Batmobile flat black kind of paint you see on the really hip cars now.
It looks like the Batmobile bike. It really does. It's got big fat tires.
Those are very fat tires.
Yeah.
What kind of tires? So this is like an electronic bike.
It's an e-bike, yep.
With these really fat rubber tires, like the real, like grip the road kind of tires.
Like dirt bike tires.
Yeah.
On a bike.
Big tires, like big donuts.
Like the kind of tires that you could, if you got run over with, you'd say ouch.
And you speed around New York City in this badass Batmobile bike.
It's the fastest way to get around the city.
And you have that kind of hip helmet that's like
it's pink.
It's like the round kind. It's like almost like you're a gunner in an old World War II plane, you know?
Except no guns.
With the goggles.
Yeah, I don't have goggles.
You need a pair of these.
My dad got me a pair of those.
Those are cool.
I refuse to wear them.
Oh, man.
I know.
They're like flying machine goggles, like time machine goggles. So, Jessica Delfino, you're a comedy musician.
Among other things.
Many things. You're a mom.
I am a mom.
You have a sensitive motherly side.
Oh, yeah.
But then
I'm
also
super sensitive. I might start crying.
But then I listened to the music. I was listening to an album moments earlier. Hold on, I have to bring up your album. Is this your newest album?
Which one?
Songs to Make War To?
That is my most recent solo album, yes.
Okay, so Songs to Make War To, 14 Anarchist Anthems for the Whole Family.
Yes.
Is that a good plug? I think it's a great album. I listened to a couple of songs today. The album artwork is wonderful.
Thank you.
Also very badass. This is kind of like a secret identity for the Jessica Delfino that I met in a social environment.
I'm practically Batwoman.
You are.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like when people are kind of like rock stars, they have this rock star persona that they do the shows and people come and they buy tickets and they're fans. And then on the flip side, the coin of that.
I'm at home making cookies.
Exactly.
It's really weird.
That's amazing.
It's a fun life.
So how did this all happen? How did you get into being a musical comedy person? And then how did you move into becoming an event organizer?
Okay.
A big-time musical comedy festival developer organizer, head honcho, and then also a mom.
Well.
Zipping around on a fun e-bike.
You know how I became a mom. I'm going to skip that
one. Oh, we don't have to go into that right now.
You know how that works.
I'm still waiting for mom and dad to explain that to me.
But yeah, let's see. Well, I moved to New York in 2001, and I'm going to back up even just a little bit. I went to art school in Philly.
Oh, where'd you go in Philly?
I went to the Art Institute of
I looked there.
You did?
Sure. I went to Syracuse for illustration.
You probably did just fine going to where you went.
Yeah, it was great. But I looked at Art Institute.
It was good.
It was a good art school.
It was fun. Yeah, I had a lot of fun there. But I met a comedian while I was going to school there. He was in Rittenhouse Square. And I actually just wrote the story online and posted it on my Medium page because I have this. I'll plug that later. It's called Humor Room. It's like it's a thing. It's a meta kind of a post about humor writing. But anyway, so I was in Rittenhouse Square hanging out, minding my own business, wearing my clunky boots and my ugly shirt or whatever I was wearing. And this guy came walking over to me and he was like, "Hey, do you have you got a light?" He wanted a light for a cigarette. But I had noticed him ask 15 people before me for a light. And I saw him coming my way and I was like, "Oh man, this guy's going to ask me for a light." And he did. And we got to chatting because I don't know what it is about my face, but people see this face and they're like, "Oh, you're a person who I will chat at.
Yeah.
And you're not going to stop me." And they're usually right.
Yeah.
I won't. I'll just listen politely and go, yeah, great. No, I'm late for a doctor's appointment, but I'm going to stand right here and listen. And so I did that for a while. And he told me he was a comedian. And I was enthralled because I've always loved comedy. I grew up in a household of people who were Italian loudmouth, funny people, and they had we had lots of movies in our house because my grandfather illegally recorded them all from the movie store. So we watched. That's all we did.
He didn't care at all about that big FBI warning.
He was a rebel back before rebels were rebels. So so he he totally ignored the FBI warning. He did not care. And so we watched all this stand-up and stuff together, and I was totally delighted, by one of my favorites was It Ain't Easy Being Me by Rodney Dangerfield. Hosted a bunch of comedians, and he had Jerry Seinfeld on there, and he had Roseanne Barr, and I was watching these people, and I was like, they're magicians. They just pull these lines out of their head. It's incredible. And then I saw this guy, at the park, and he was like, why don't you come over to my house and I'll show you my comedy tapes? And I was like, well, that sounds like a totally safe idea.
Yeah, very bad.
Absolutely. Please show me the way. So I went to this guy's house.
You went.
I went. I'm telling you, I don't know how I've made it this far in my life because I've said yes way too much. So we got to his house, and he shows me these videos of him doing stand-up. And he was really funny, and the videos were of him on TV. His name was Stu Kamens, by the way. Some of you may know him out there. He's kind of an old-school comic. And as I'm watching, I start to realize he's telling the same jokes, from set to set. And it clicks to me that comedians don't actually pull the words out of the air, but they write the jokes and memorize them. And then I was like, I'm in. I can do this. I can write jokes and memorize them. I'm in. And from then on, I've been doing
You get
comedy.
to prepare?
Yeah.
That's much easier. I can handle that.
Yeah, I can totally. I can prepare. What I can't do is come
Riff.
up with stuff on. Sometimes I can.
Yeah.
And now that I am older, I can. But when I was younger, I was very hard at talking. Very bad at talking. It was just a really hard thing for me. It took me 2 years to feel really comfortable on stage. The first year, I would just stare at the light and get really embarrassed.
It is like a wave of silence when you're on stage, because I just do the hosting for the little Weekly Humorist Guaranteed Delivery show. So it's just me going up and down, introducing people. It's really nothing big. But I tell a couple of jokes, and I think it was maybe last show. And when you're not constantly moving forward with the plan, like the written down plan.
Yeah.
Sometimes you kind of have like a brain fart or something, and you stop for a second, and the audience is waiting for you to say that next thing, and you're not saying it, and you realize that they're waiting for you, and you're not saying it, but all you're doing is listening to the silence, and that distracts you.
The sound of silence.
The sound of that
There
sound
is a sound of silence.
It's just like.
Yeah, it's like.
And they're waiting for you to make them laugh, and you're not doing it because you're distracted by the fact that they're not laughing.
Yeah, and you're waiting for them to laugh.
It's a loop.
You're like, maybe they'll just start laughing
if
I
you're
just stand here.
I'm stuck in a loop, an infinite sad silence loop, and all you have to do is say something, and you'll break that tension,
right?
And you're fine again. But like, I got stuck for a second. I was like, oh man,
that
like
was
my fault.
It's almost like an old-timey shooting draw.
It is.
Where it's like first one to draw, loses or wins or whatever.
It's scary up there.
It can be. It can, and it was for a long time for me. I would just look out over the audience. I would forget jokes, and I would just be like, bleh, bleh. And then people will, the place that I started doing stand-up is no longer here, but it was called the Boston Comedy Club, and it was on West 3rd Street.
Right.
So I used to go there, and funny little...
They made up a new version of that for Crashing. Did you seen any Crashing on HBO?
Yeah.
That was actually a fun thing about Crashing is I guess they make it take place in all these places that no longer exist, but they did exist, and then they would recreate them for the show.
Yeah.
So they recreated the Boston Comedy Club, and then they recreated Rafifi, which is a great spot that used to have a great show. They used to
have open mics.
Eugene Merman used to host a really amazing show there, and then that place closed down.
Invite them up.
Exactly. I used to love that show.
I was on it.
Yeah. I was an audience member there so many times.
I did a solo show there. Sorry to disturb you. At Rafifi.
So many cool people would just come in.
It was great. I actually met one of my good friends there who has been a friend for a long time. She's a comedian, Jenna Friedman. We met. She was in the audience, and I performed, and I played my rape whistle song, and we became pals. And I met actually a bunch of friends who I still keep in touch with at that show.
And the place was so tiny. And you would just hang out, and people would just be there.
Yeah, it was
such
a real
wild.
scene.
Yeah,
it was cool.
To be the only I was just like an audience member, but I was in the minority. I think the majority of the people who were sitting in the audience were professional comedy people who were there, and then they would get up.
Maybe there's also industry would come and hang out there, but I think there was a lot of people who just kind of came to chill out.
But it was tiny.
It was pretty small.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
So you got started going to places like that.
I did. And that was a cool space because it was one of the few sort of alternative spaces back when it was all about the clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And I started at Boston Comedy Club and I did all the open mics I could. And then I kind of started branching out to the alternative rooms. And now there's now it's all alternative rooms.
Yeah.
And there's just a few clubs. And I'm wondering, what's going to kind of happen with the clubs. Are they doing okay? Hey, clubs, are you guys okay?
I think the clubs that are doing okay are doing great, and then the clubs that were not doing great are no longer doing even sort of okay.
Yeah.
I
was thinking about the Comedy Cellar and how they sort of opened up their second club.
Yeah,
and thinking
definitely.
about how that was kind of a smart move because the Comedy Cellar is such a inclusive place that only a few comedians, it seems like, can really even get to perform at. So then they opened up this other club and we're like, okay, well, there's like a second tier of people who will kind of come in here.
Right, and it's bigger.
Yeah.
It's like a bigger space.
Yeah.
And so that was smart for them. But then you have like Eastville is gone, and then they relocated because the actual physical place of Eastville is now... I think Broadway Comedy bought them or something like that. So now the actual Eastville Club is now in Brooklyn next to the Atlantic Barclays Center on Atlantic Avenue.
Yeah,
and
that's
teeny.
a rough, yeah.
So now it's called Eastville Comedy Club, but it's on Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn, which makes no sense whatsoever. And it's just like, it's not like people aren't walking by to just happen upon a comedy club. Like, you have to go there on purpose.
That's hard.
And that's hard.
In the city. You need a little bit of that foot traffic. Actually, when we were at the Boston Comedy Club, there were people who would bark for spots. They would stand out on the street and be like, comedy show, this way, come on in. And,
that was old school.
Yeah, and then you would get a spot if you barked. I think I barked a few times, but I got passed at the Boston Comedy Club pretty early on because I came in with kind of a crew. I was dating Kurt Metzger.
I know Kurt Metzger.
I know, it's really funny.
You were dating Kurt Metzger?
We were in love. We were in love. Way back in the day.
He's a sweetheart.
You know what?
I like Kurt.
Kurt and I, we had a lot of fun, and I still, every once in a while we'll say hi, and kind of reach out. We're not like really friends or anything like that, but we talk now and then.
That's nice.
Yeah, and Big J was another person who we used to kind of pal around with.
Big J. Okerson? Mm-hmm. He's a nice guy.
He lived in Philly, and we lived in New Jersey, in Lindenwold. And, so then it was like the three of us, and then Kevin Hart also would hang around with the crew sometimes.
You ran with quite a crew.
It was quite a crew, and we would go to the Laugh House, and I never got to perform at the Laugh House, but I went to a million comedy shows there, in Philly.
Yeah.
And, oh, man, we had some really fun times. One time we did a show in Atlantic City. I'm sure that Jay and Kurt have probably also told the story a bunch of times, but we were it was a show that started at like 2 a.m. or something. It was a real late night show. And we went in, the crowd was drunk, they were ornery. I got up to do some comedy. Me, Jay, Kevin, I think we all did sets, and they threw chicken at every single one of us. They were just like... It was it was sad.
They throw chicken?
It was a real waste of chicken.
It is a real waste of chicken.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's kind of a fun backstory. We all have one, right? We all kind of have a crew that of how we sort of got into the world of comedy and who we run into. That's one of the funnest things I think about it, is the people who you meet along the way and where they come from. And there's been some really interesting people that I've gotten to meet.
And were you doing stand-up or musical comedy at that time?
I was doing stand-up at the beginning.
What was your stand-up like?
I still remember one of my first jokes. Let's see. It was like, old people smell, but what do you think? It's like, old people smell, but that's what happens if you leave meat out too long. It smells, something like that. I don't know. It was not.
We're all just slowly rotting.
Yeah, basically. It wasn't, socially like uplifting comedy. I wouldn't say. It was just me, just winging words out and seeing what stuck.
Conceptual.
Something like that.
Kind of.
Just kind of just a mess of my 20s and my brain smashing together. And
early tweets.
Kind of, yeah.
Maybe like the draft folder that don't get actually tweeted. You just say them in front of a small crowd.
But I did that for a couple years, and then I started doing songs. I wrote a song, and I played it for Kurt, and he liked it, and that gave me the confidence to try it on stage. And it was kind of a dirty song. about oral sex, and it was like pretty fun to perform it at the time. I mean, the song, and nobody really like was kind of doing music, and comedy at that time. So I thought maybe it would just.
And you've always been musical?
Well, yeah, I grew up in a house with a lot of music and musicians, and we had a piano in the living room, which was one of my first toys, and a drum set and guitars, and I've been playing guitar for years and years, and I was like, I'm going to be Joni Mitchell one day, but first I'm going to do comedy. So then I had the idea of smushing them together. Yeah. Like I'll make funny folk songs. That'd be fun.
And it kind of seems like, and by listening to the most recent album, and just any kind of musical comedy, if you can play a really good song, you can get away with saying almost anything if there's like a good melody to it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think in general, comedy is kind of like that. I mean, now it's a little more scrutinized than it used to be. Mm-hmm. Now, if you say something that's off color, people will definitely respond to that. Yeah. But with music, well, part of the beauty of it is that unless I write the words out, no one knows what I'm saying. So I can kind of say whatever I want. But also I'm not like super famous in a way that if I say something, people are going to attack me for it right now. So I still have a couple years to screw up my future. Like I'll write some songs and things now, and then 5 years from now, people can. When
you try running for office.
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh man.
That's never going to happen.
But I think also like your persona, it's that, she looks so sweet and nice, and then you say something like what some of your song lyrics are, that adds to it. Because and you say it so sweet and nice. So it's not like you don't look like you're trying to shock anybody. It's almost it's like a nonchalant, like, this is the song.
Yeah.
Isn't this a pretty song?
I think there's a little nonchalance to my whole personality.
This song is about dolphins raping people, but doesn't it sound pretty?
But it's also a true story.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that. Is that a true thing?
Well, the whole song, as I wrote it, is true in that, I was walking down the street. I was in Brooklyn. I saw that sticker, Dolphins Rape People. I was like, what is that? I got to Google it. So I Googled it, and I came up with all the stuff that is in the song, that... And maybe it's real, maybe it's not. I mean, it is the internet,
So the internet says that dolphins do... drag people down or drag things down.
It says that basically teen dolphins are super horny and rambunctious, and they will, attack.
Similar
when
to
really
how
super horny.
A dog will hump a couch.
Kind of, except they're in water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a water dog.
Yeah. With a weird long prehensile penis, which is also a fact.
Yeah, I'm going to do all kinds of weird Googling when you leave, but the song definitely...
Could you imagine having that kind of power with your wiener to like pick things up? And that would be bad. That would be too much power. Is it dexterous?
Like it has like
apparently,
a hand?
That's what... It's not like a hand, but they can like do stuff with it.
Yeah.
They can like... They grab...
Like a snake tail,
supposedly,
maybe.
In the reading I was doing, they grab divers by the wrists and kind of like...
yank them down.
Take them down to these caves and do what they will.
You're coming with me.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's really weird. And,
it does.
And I like to write songs about things that are weird because I can pretty much guarantee that there's not a lot of dolphin rape songs out there. And when you're trying to write material, obviously you don't want to write the same kind of stuff that everyone else is writing. Like the McDonald's drive-through jokes, airplane jokes, they've been done a lot, but dolphin rape, I own that shit.
You
know what I mean? Like, no one's going to come to me and be like, you stole my dolphin rape song. That's just not going to happen.
No one's going to do that.
Never. Not 10 years from now.
And how many albums have you put out?
I think I've had the three or four. Let's see. I had my demo, which was my first album that I used to kind of get my first press and gigs. And that was called I think Jessica Delfino, Dirty Folk Rock. It was called
Dirty Folk Rock.
Yep. And then my first like kind of real album, I got this sort of like indie record deal with this label, and they put out my album I Want to Be Famous. And then I had an album that I made myself, and it was a Christmas album with all my Christmas songs, like Christmas in Outer Space and things of that nature.
Nice.
And then this one, Songs to Make War To. And I've also done a couple compilations for the New York Funny Songs Fest. Or, I'm sorry, it used to be New York Funny Songs.
Yeah, we can talk about that too. So it was called the New York Funny Songs Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And that started in 2012?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And how did that even start? This was
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter.
Yeah, well, so because of the fact that so many of the comedy clubs had a tendency to be a little bit like bitchy when booking musical comedians, I said to myself, I'll just see if I can find a bunch of us. We'll all get together and we'll do something kind of on our own, I guess. And we did, and I did a Kickstarter to raise money for it, and we raised like, I think almost 10 grand, which was pretty cool. We did that in 30 days. And then we used that money to have a festival. And we got a lot of great press that year, which was really helpful with getting, you know, people to attend the festival. We were written up in like New York Times and Wall Street Journal and, you know, Time Out and whatever. And then shortly after that, the Festival Supreme, Tenacious D's festival, comedy music festival, came out. So that was pretty cool. Then there was an East Coast and a West Coast. And then Chicago created a comedy music festival. And there's quite a scene, you know, of people who do comedy music. And then YouTube really took off. And that was actually one of my kind of first places where I was able to put my music out there, you know, to an audience. And one of my first songs that I put out on YouTube was, well, I had a bunch of little songs, but there was one of my big kind of hits was the song I Want to Be Famous, which I don't perform anymore because I think it's a little dark, even for me. So I don't really perform it anymore, but it is out there. And then the song My Pussy is Magic, which was something that I used to perform at comedy clubs and stuff. And a friend of mine came up one night and was like, let's make a video for it. So we did. We put it out there. And it got publicly denounced by the Catholic League. Wow, that's great press. Super fun. Yeah. It was like one of the greatest press, you know, press things to happen. And that actually sent me on. I toured for years on being denounced by the Catholic League. It was great. I went to, you know, the UK a bunch of times and did tours all up and down the East Coast. And I remember when he wrote the press release, he wrote all my tour dates in the press release. Perfect. Yeah, it was great. Every show was sold out. I mean, it was incredible. I actually sent him thank you cards from every city I went to. That's so nice. Yeah, I'm very thoughtful. And you need that to be like, hey, you know, I have other things coming up. If you could possibly so drop a note. So do you want to be my publicist? Yeah. Yeah. Like, if you could denounce the upcoming music festival, that would be awesome. Yeah. These are the dates. Yeah. It didn't... So the Funny Songs Festival turned into the New York Comedy Music Festival. Yeah, so this year we kind of had a little bit of a imagining of the festival. We brought in some new people, Charlie Landsman, and Kelly Dwyer has been working with the festival for a bunch of years, but she was involved again this year, and just a couple people to kind of be a little for several years. I kind of basically, it was like kind of what you did. Like it was like a, you know, a solo enterprise with some other people who kind of helped. Yeah. But this year it was like a bunch of people. We were a team, and it was probably the best festival, you know, so far. It was great. I mean, you had gift bags, and you had VIP badges, and you had all these locations, and you had all these different, like, it was great. It was all over the place. It was super fun. You could do afternoon stuff if you wanted to stay late. There was like a late night kind of half, and there was like karaoke fun, and there was a little bit of everything. Yeah. And we've done stuff. This festival was based on festivals that we've done in the past that have been pretty successful. And I took 2 years off because I had a baby. Which I don't recommend. No, I'm just kidding, but sort of not really. It's having a baby was definitely my biggest solo project that I've ever done. And I say solo project because, you know, your husband is involved or your partner or whatever, but really, like, it's really you. It's a one person deal. You know what I mean? It's I mean, there's the doctors and stuff there. But there's support, but but it's like So, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying that. But it is a lot of it falls onto Mom. Hey, when you were at the festival, you had your kid there. I did, yeah. Yeah, he was hanging out. He was having fun. My mom was there. She came to help. Was she stuffing the bags? Did I see her stuffing bags? I think everyone was stuffing bags. At one point, no, we stuffed all the bags beforehand, I think. But then we forgot that we had a bag of stuff, and we were like, oh, we got to put this in the bag. So we were stuffing it. That's what I saw. Yeah, that's what you saw. That was fun. That was at the Friars Club. It was real behind the scenes. Yeah. Yeah, we did the Friars Club was our opening night, which was super fun. I love the Friars Club. I've performed there a bunch of times over the years for different things. But that place was really hospitable.
It's a cool building.
Well, we lost our venue. We were supposed to work with pianos this year, and we had kind of a misunderstanding, a very minor misunderstanding, but it just didn't end up working out. So a minor
with the pianos,
not
a major or a treble. Well, I don't have any more music.
Yes, seriously minor. So minor, I shouldn't even be talking about it right now. I shouldn't be giving them any press, but.
Sounds pretty major now.
No, they're fine. They're fine. I've been performing at pianos for years. They had their heyday, but Friars Club stepped in, and it was great. I loved being at the Friars Club. It made it really kind of
was cool,
historic in a way, and a lot of the performers were really excited to be there.
Yeah, it was a neat thing to tell people to come to this opening kickoff party at the Friars Club.
Yeah, and we had a cake.
A lot of people don't even have any reason to ever go there. I mean, anyone can almost go there anytime, but no one even knows that.
And not to mention, tickets to the shows are $10. I keep everything super cheap.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a ticket to go to the Friar, it was basically like a tour, like paying $10 for a tour of this incredible space. So as far as I'm concerned, one of the things I love the most about New York are the spaces here. Mm-hmm. The space, whenever I read an event that's like in a basement somewhere or a weird attic, it's got to be like not the living room I don't care about, but like one of the far off aspects of the space. I don't know, some weird building that you don't normally get to go in. Or one time I performed in a subway station that had been closed down.
Oh, I was just talking to my friends about going on those old tours where you get to go into abandoned, closed down subway like platforms and stuff.
So this was actually a station. It wasn't a closed down station. It was a station that never opened. It was a station that had been built, but then just had never opened. And one of my friends discovered this space, and he was like, I'm going to do a show here. And he's someone, he runs this website called Nonsense NYC, and he has all the weirdest events that you can find in New York are usually listed there.
Ooh, I want to go.
Yeah, and they're all in these really cool spaces, or run by these kind of interesting people. And he found this space. We went down there. We checked out the space. It was incredible. Totally pitch black, so we had to bring our own light. I mean, it was completely illegal.
Yeah.
And if we had gotten caught, we would have definitely been charged with some kind of terrorism or something.
Probably. Well, trespassing. Definitely.
He did get found out, and I think that they maybe questioned him or investigated him, but then they were like, oh, you're just a weirdo doing a show. Cool. You're good.
But how did he find how to get there? Was it like through another station?
It was a crazy, the only way to get in was, there was like a, what's it called? Like a grate on the street, and you lift up the grate.
He just went through the hole?
Yeah, he went through the hole. And I guess he's one of those people who just walks around the city and his eyes are open and he's looking for spots. And
so this station was made but never used. So what, like, was the tile work like new looking? Like, did it look nice? Or did it look old?
It was lit by candle mostly. So we didn't really get a good look, but there was a ton of graffiti.
So other people have found
Other people have found it. And there are pictures online too of the show and everything. I think Gothamist wrote a story about it. But it's incredible looking. It's like going back in time, into and I used to drive past or through New York on my way to visit my grandparents in New Jersey. I grew up in Maine, and I was petrified of New York. We would drive through, there would be bombed out cars everywhere, graffiti, cars on blocks, people listening to, music on the highway. It was like mayhem. I mean, it looked so scary to me as a kid. And then I moved here, and now I love it. I've been here for, I think, 19 years or something now.
Yeah.
I moved here in 2001, so 18 years. And it's the craziest, coolest place if you let it be.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been here since 2002, and I think at this point, like, I don't even think about it being a fascinating place as much. Like, it's very mundane, I think, if you're here for a long time, and you forget about how cool it is, and then you get to go and you explore neat things, and you are reminded of this great place you live.
Well, I pay a fortune to live here, so I go out of my way to find cool things, because I
That's
justify
smart.
the amount of money that I pay to live here, because I can do what I do now really anywhere. With YouTube, with the internet, I can make videos, I can upload songs, I can write, I can do music anywhere. But the reason that I choose to live here is because the weirdness of the city feeds and inspires me. I'm not going to go walking down the street in Ohio and see a sticker that says dolphins rape people.
No.
And that's the kind of thing that fuels my, creative weirdness, is seeing this, seeing these crazy spaces, or getting to perform in someone's, weird living room or patio or roof deck. Or...
Well, where are you performing now? Like, what are the shows you're looking to do, or you are booked on?
Well,
what do you got coming up?
Well, these days I've been doing a lot of writing. I've been writing. I've been getting a lot of stuff off my chest as a mom with a kid, and
well, that's a whole nother world of content, right? So
totally. And
tell me about the class, the mommy comedy.
Yeah. So that's a show that I've been doing a lot. It's called I want to say I'm like blanking now. Mom. It's at Word bookstore, and it's a really fun show. It's all moms with their little tiny babies. It's in the basement. Again, a comedy loves basements.
Yeah.
It's in a basement of a bookstore called, I'm pretty sure it's called Word Books. And these moms are like they look really sad. They need comedy in their lives because being a mom, like a new mom, it sucks. It's so hard. At least for me. When I came out of the hospital, I was like, oh shit, like this is real. For the 4 days that I was in the hospital, I was like, this is a snap. This is whatever. I got this. And then I got out of the hospital. They took away the morphine. They took away the nurses. They took away all the special treatment. The people, coming in and
what?
bringing
Aren't you all
food.
coming home with me?
Yeah.
I need all of you to come home with me.
I got home and I was like, wait, who's going to bring me bedside salmon? Like,
Where's
what's
my
going
staff?
on? So yeah, that was pretty rough. But this show. So I'll post it later because I'm blanking on it right now. And Mom Brain is real, by the way, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But it's the greatest show because these people, they really need and want, some joy and comedy and humor and something uplifting, for
That's
them.
the best audience, is the audience that needs it.
Well, I performed at Rikers once, and it was the greatest show I've ever done because we walked in there, and first of all, as we were walking down the hall, people were screaming like there was a riot. I thought there was a riot. I got scared. The hair on the back of my neck stood up and I was like, what's going on? And we walked in the room and they were screaming for us. They were so excited and so happy to have people there to see them and to bring them, a little bit of a respite from their, thing that they were going through. And it was overwhelming. And every joke hit like an explosion, every punchline, every tag. It was I wish I had a tape of it.
You got to record your stuff like a Johnny
jails.
Cash, like a Johnny Cash concert.
I thought about it, and I've been trying for years to get back in touch and try to.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't know. Maybe they've changed their rules or something, but they're not doing it. But it was so great. So,
what was your set list like for that show?
Well, they had a lot of rules. Like you weren't
allowed
to. You weren't allowed to diss authority or the establishment or the man. You weren't allowed to talk about crime or illegal activities. You weren't allowed to talk about guns.
That's a lot of your songs.
Yeah. At that time, I think I was just doing stand-ups.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I just talked about old people, and that was totally cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really, really fun. So this mom show was along those lines. It was like just an audience of people who really wanted to be there.
Group of moms, prisoners
Felons,
at Rikers.
Yeah, it's very similar. Well, I would joke with my husband often that being a new mom was almost like being a war vet. In that, because when you see another new mom, it's like that, and the way I made a lot of my friends right after I had a baby was I would see a mom, in the playground or whatever, she'd have her little tiny baby. We'd gravitate towards each other because we knew that we had just been through a similar thing. And even if we were from totally different worlds, we would be like, so, what branch you in? You know what I mean? We had this kind of like mom talk, and we would, without fail, we would start to divulge very personal details about our vaginas and what happened during the birth process to us, and it was like really intense, but also just part of, the healing process is just being like, oh my God, you went through that too. Ah!
So shared experience, commiseration.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the dads are just like, we're dopes.
That, and also, no,
no.
My guy was incredible. And he still is. But anyway, and also the auditory hallucinations were another thing. I heard helicopters for like a month after I had a baby because I was so sleep deprived.
Yeah.
I had, I heard like my breast pump was saying crazy things to me. It was like, I don't know.
That's a song.
You're tired. You're tired. You're tired. You're tired. You know, it just like would say these weird things. And yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's a song. But it's
My breast
only a
pump is
song
talking to me.
for a very specific group of people.
Yeah.
Moms who
Niche.
breastfeed.
Everything has to be very niche, but niche does really well.
It does. And I think that mom comedy has, well, it's having
Momedy?
Momedy. It's having a minute, you know, with Ali Wong's show. And then, you know, there's a lot of people who have just recently had babies. And I actually wrote a solo show called Before My Water Breaks that I did at Joe's Pub right before I had my baby. I performed it 8 months pregnant. And
Wow.
it was super fun. And it was really great. It was basically like a love letter to my unborn baby.
Yeah.
And
was that like a ukulele bit? Did you do that? Because it's easier to rest like a ukulele.
No, I played the guitar
on
the bump.
On the bump.
No.
No.
I had a joke. I remember a joke about the bump I wrote, which was they call it a baby bump, which I don't like because it's like that's how they talk about cocaine. Like, that's just a baby bump. It won't hurt anyone. I forget. Oh God. Mom brain. I hate mom brain. My brain doesn't work anymore. 3 years later, my baby's almost 3. He's 2 and change, and that's his technical age, 2 and change. And I just I can't remember things anymore. I can't remember names, places, people. I remember faces still, but I think it's just from not having enough sleep. Even last night, you know, I slept, I went to bed at 10 because that's my new bedtime now. I just fall asleep at 10 o'clock. I'm standing up. You know how cows sleep standing up? That's what I do. I just fall asleep wherever I am. Eyes shut, body shuts down. And then around 3:45 in the morning, I was woken up by my son who was having a cough attack. He just started coughing at 3:45 a.m. And, you know, then I had to take him into the bathroom and run hot water because he has this like cough thing that he has. And, you know, and then before I knew it, it's 6 a.m., you know, and so it's
So you've been up since 3?
No, I got to sleep for like another hour in there somewhere. I think
That's nice.
From like 6 to 7, we were able to doze off. But then, he usually wakes up pretty early. Like 5:36 is kind of his default wake up time, which sucks. I hate waking up at 6 a.m. I hate it.
That's early.
I hate it.
I woke up this morning by accident. I had an alarm that went off at 6:10.
Okay.
And then I hit the snooze.
I feel you.
For 2 hours.
Well,
I finally
that's
got out of
so
I got out of bed at like 8:15.
I hit the snooze.
And I was just like, more snooze, but it goes off every 8 minutes. So I hit the snooze every 8 minutes from 6:30 until 8:15. That's dedicated snoozing.
Yeah, but your snooze is it's like meh, 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 and you press the button. Mine's like mom, 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 mom. And it's not even regular, you know what I mean?
You can't hit that snooze because
No.
then you get in trouble.
That's right. Then you get arrested.
Then you end up in the Rikers.
Then I
doing
have to go
concerts.
perform for me. That's not good.
That's not good. I saw you recently at the Botnik Studios.
Yes.
Botnik did a show.
I love Botnik.
So let's talk about Botnik a little bit
love
because
Botnik.
it's fascinating.
They're so great.
And how you got involved with them and what their whole deal is. So Botnik is a artificial intelligence comedy project.
Yeah.
To be simple about it.
Yeah,
right?
so a bunch of these people who are way smarter than I am and younger than I am use their brains to do some coding or something and create a program that it's like almost the way autocorrect works or something,
right?
Or where you, on your phone when you're writing a sentence it picks the word for you. There's a technical term for it, but I couldn't remember it right now even if I tried. And so this crew, one of the creators is Jamie Brew. Mm-hmm. I met Jamie through the Comedy Music Festival. He performed in it a couple of years ago, and
he's a cool guy.
He is
real smart.
He is super smart.
Great musician, and
a wonderful musician. Very funny, very naturally funny, very low key. He's really cool. I really like him a lot. And so actually another friend of mine, Amy, who is a writer, Amy Barnes. She's a writer and she writes for Botnik. Mm-hmm. She mentioned that Botnik, she was like talking about it and I was like, what's Botnik? What is it? And she kind of told me about it and told me about Jamie and she introduced me to Jamie. And then I was like, wait a minute, I know Jamie. Jamie was in so then Jamie added me to the crew and I've been writing stuff for them since, I don't know, maybe it's been like almost a year, something like that.
Because they come up with the coolest things where, artificial intelligence will generate comedy article type things or songs or all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's so great because it's sort of limitless what you can do with it. You could make posters. You could make songs. You could make videos. We just did something with College Humor where we wrote a Game of Thrones episode. So we took all these Game of Thrones scripts and put them into the software. Not me. I did not do that.
Right.
And the smart people did that. And then I and other people used the generator to come up with the lines for the characters. So we wrote a better ending for Game of Thrones.
And at the show that I was at, everybody got assigned a part, and we all kind of read the parts out loud. I was actually invited to go with Bob Mankoff, who is involved because he kind of started it with Jamie.
Yeah, he and Jamie.
And
are
Bob
the
Mankoff
creators.
is like this old. I mean, he's an old school New Yorker cartoonist. He kind of developed the entire humor category and the cartoon bank for the New Yorker over many, many years. And then he started doing this Botnik thing. Very eccentric guy.
Oh yeah, he's very interesting too.
And
I'd like to corner him and pick his brain for like.
I just got invited because he started this company called Cartoon Collections, which is like the Cartoon Bank back in the day for the New Yorker, which is kind of like an iStock photo thing, but for cartoonists. So it's a cartoon
cool.
licensing company.
Okay.
Which is great for cartoonists.
Like Getty,
but for cartoonists. So it's like you can use this cartoon for greeting cards or for web or for whatever. And it's a better way to monetize cartoons for cartoonists. And he signed up Weekly Humorist to be a part of this thing, which is amazing because we're now on the level of the New Yorker, Esquire, Playboy,
that's pretty rad.
Barron's.
I mean, everyone loves Weekly Humorist.
Everyone loves Weekly Humorist.
That's true.
We're the fastest growing comedy magazine in the world. But so he's being nice to me, and he invited me to be a part of this thing. And he's like, hey, I'm going to this Botnik show, and it's my birthday. Would you come with me? I'm like, yeah, that'd be great, because you're a comedy legend, and I wanted to meet you anyway for a very long time, and it's your birthday.
Yeah.
Like, what a generous guy.
And Botnik made him a cake.
Botnik made him a cake.
It was so funny. It was the funniest cake.
So tell the listening audience about this cake.
So basically, we used this, I think it was recipes. Someone put recipes into the program.
Into the Botnik.
I sound like an old lady.
They
put it in the program.
The Botnik brain.
Yes.
The AI brain of Botnik.
The brain of Botnik. And it churned out all these words. And then we, the writers, used the words to come up with a recipe for a cake. And then someone actually made the cake.
And the cake had a variety of things in it.
Yes, it had meat, it had broccoli, it had raspberries, and it was quite tasty. I actually ate a piece because I'm
great.
Like that. Thank you.
Did you make the cake?
No, I didn't make the cake. No, I forget the name of the person who did.
But it had frosting.
It had frosting. It looked incredible. He and his girlfriend made it together. Oh, gosh, I forgot his name. I'll put it on Twitter later, and I'll apologize to him for forgetting his name.
But on top of the...
Bran? No, never mind.
On top of the crazy Botnik cake and the Game of Thrones episode, which was funny, because it sort of makes sense. Like the comedy AI is funny because it sort of takes it's like it knows kind of what the character is like, and then it spits out lines that they're on point and they're mean.
Yeah,
a lot. Like
they can be.
The robot can be very mean.
Well, it's about the writer too.
Yeah,
it's about because the writer picks the words. So it's like I'm driving this car and this is what the car does.
Yeah.
So
and they acted out like a fake sitcom.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was.
Were you in the sitcom?
Yeah, the family show.
You were in the. It was called The Family Show.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it was like a stereotypical family sitcom
with like love interest and big sister, and it was.
And it was funny.
It was.
I was
really
amazed.
Funny. People think that. Well, some people were like. One of my friends actually came to the show, and he was like, "So tell me, are you kind of laughing at the computer?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think there is a little bit of that. You're laughing at the way that the computer brings up the words.
Yeah,
and you're also laughing with each other because it's just this kind of absurd collection of sentences that it spits out.
Yeah, and
it's just it's really fun to do. It's almost like there's a little Mad Libs in there, you know, but it's super fun. It's and we brainstorm ideas, and because we have this crew on of Botnik people, we can all kind of talk about different ways to use material, different scripts, different recipe books. Or for the longest time I want to do a kids album of all these songs that Botnik writes, but it's really hard to write songs on Botnik because the words don't really rhyme. You kind of have to tweak it in a way to make them rhyme, and I don't really want to cheat, because there's sort of a format, the way the words come out, and I want to keep them in that format. I don't want to mix them around or anything.
Right.
So that's a little tricky. But then I also want to do a bird poster, which I've been wanting to do for a while.
A bird poster?
Yeah, of just all these different birds, and then Botnik will, name the birds. Wonderful, funny things.
Just put a bird on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of funny named birds anyway, like Booby. It's kind of a funny,
That's true.
It's a funny name for a bird. I saw some post somewhere a long time ago that actually took that idea and did pretty good with it. So maybe that's already done.
So hopefully in the works we're going to be putting Botnik-generated comedy articles up on
great.
Weekly Humorist. That's the next project.
Wow, that's so
cool.
cool.
Amy Barnes was going to be helping with that.
Okay.
She's very funny.
She's great. Yeah, she's
Excuse
a friend.
me. Yeah.
So Amy Barnes and Janine Annette and I wrote a script together.
Oh, Janine Annette. I know Janine Annette.
Yeah.
She's going to be on this show.
Is she?
Yeah, I was just talking to her.
Oh, that's so cool.
She's a writer for Weekly Humorist. That's also the fun thing about the whole comedy community is you don't know that other people know each other.
Yeah.
Because we're also, individually meeting or
doing
we
their
connect.
own things, yeah.
And then everyone's like, everyone knows everybody.
It's true. It's very incestuous.
The community is not that big.
It's not.
But
even if it's big enough and still everyone knows each other.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
Because I have some summer interns who are comedy writers and they're, like in college, they're like English majors and things like that. And then they're in for the summer and they, we talk about their goals, what they want to do and they want to meet all these people. And like the people that they're listing, I'm like, oh, I know. She lives up the street from me.
Yeah.
She's in my book club. Like
Yeah.
it's like the world is very
My
small.
mom and my sisters and stuff, they'll be like, oh, do you know so-and-so? Because I really love their comedy show. And I'm like, I know that guy.
Like, you don't want to meet that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I've met some really fun people over the years through comedy. I think the best thing that has come from it is just like all the wonderful people that I've gotten to meet. I know that sounds very corny, but I'm a mom now, so I have permission.
Well, also, so you're, aside from being a creator, a comedy musician, you're a producer of events that celebrate comedy and music. So I got to be a part of the New York Comedy Music Festival this year, and I got to be on the panel, and I got to feel important, and that was so much fun because it was events and it was shows, but then it was also panel discussions and learning about all these different things and businesses that are there to enable and help people who are just starting out.
The panel was so awesome.
It was cool. And then you guys had a parade?
Oh, yeah, we have parade every year. The parade is awesome. I love the parade. I keep bringing it back because it's just so weird and wonderful.
And the theme, it was like a black and white parade? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so I dressed up in black and white.
You had a black and white, you had like a hat.
Marshal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was fun.
Yeah, it's fun because I get to put myself in a lot of I'm like, this show needs a host. Well, I guess I'll host. So that's fun. But then also I get to book a lot of friends and, put a lot of people into the thing, which is really awesome.
Who are your musical comedy heroes? Are you like a big Weird Al fan?
I do like Weird Al, and I got to perform with him once, which was pretty fun.
Wow.
And through the festival, because they reached out to us and they were like, we need some people to do this thing. Will you do it? And I was like, yes. So he autographed my ukulele too, which is pretty sweet. But let's see. I do. I like Tenacious D. I liked them way back in the day because I thought they were really cool. Reggie Watts, when he came onto the scene, blew my mind.
He's great.
I just thought he was so incredible, and I still do. Let's see. Sarah Silverman used to write really funny songs, and I thought that her songs were really cute. I still sometimes will catch myself singing "All the Penises in the World." Her song about there's a hole. I don't know. Maybe you don't know it. But, maybe I'm the only one. I don't know. No, other people must know it too. But I liked also. And I meet new people every year that I'm like, oh wow, she's really awesome. That's really cool. So I met a bunch of people this year that I was blown away by. Yeah, I guess those are some of the people.
I should have asked you to bring like a ukulele in, or I should have.
Yoko Ono is hilarious.
Is she?
She's kind of funny. Yeah. She's kind of wacky.
I like the Garfunkel and Oates.
Garfunkel and Oates.
They're very funny.
Yeah, they have some good ones. Although they wrote "Pregnant Women Are Smug," and now I'm mad at them, but I also kind of get it.
It'll all change when they pop out a couple of kids.
That's what I was thinking. I was just thinking about that. I was
They're
like, you'll see how smug we are.
You'll
wait.
see. You'll become smug too.
Yeah. But They're good.
They're good.
Yeah, I don't know. I should have a lot more names. I like a lot of Howard Stern songwriters. I actually wrote a song with one of Howard Stern's guys once, Little Mikey.
Mm-hmm.
We wrote a wonderful song that was a parody of Skyrockets in Flight, Afternoon Delight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's filthy.
You know who I love who's a Howard Stern guy? That Eli Braden.
I love Eli.
You know Eli?
Yeah, yep, we do know
Great
each other.
guy.
I also know the opera dude who's, I'm blanking on his name, but the dude who does all the opera. I met him once at a comedy show.
I met Eli maybe in 2011.
Yeah.
When I was working at National Lampoon and we were producing a show at the Improv. And he was on the show. We did like a Twitter award show before there was like the Shorty Awards or before there was anything. We had this totally unofficial Twitter award show we just put on at the Improv, and it was all industry. And Eli did a song. He opened the show with a song.
Yeah, he's really
such
funny.
a cool guy.
We follow each other on Twitter.
Ooh.
Which is, I'm on Twitter at Jessica Delfino, by the way.
By the way. Verified.
Yeah. I got it.
Whoa.
I got that blue check mark.
What?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I wrote about it on my Medium page, which, by the way, I'm circling back around to. I have a Medium page called One and Done Mom.
Okay.
And there's also a new thing that I started doing on Medium. It's a vertical on this publication called The Writing Cooperative.
I got pulled. Did you put my quote in?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
I might
darn
have.
it.
I must have.
I don't know. You asked me for a quote about.
Oh, no, not that. I haven't written that
rituals.
story yet.
Okay.
That will be. Yeah. I wrote 2 episodes of the humor. It's called The Humor Room. That's my vertical.
I like it.
Thank you. And it's about comedy writing and comedians and the process and blah, blah, blah. But from a writing perspective.
Yeah.
And so, I wrote 2 episodes of it. And then the one that you're in is going to be on the third.
I'm going to be in something.
Yeah, you're going to be
it's
in
very exciting.
Yeah, I've put you in a bunch of things.
Really?
Yeah. I put you in the festival.
Nice.
Put you on Medium.
I'm into it.
Humor Room.
Do you write non-song comedy?
Yes, I do. I write stand-up. I also write humor pieces. Like I've been in McSweeney's a couple times.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. You should write stuff for Weekly Humorist.
I would love to write stuff for Weekly
It's
Humorist.
very easy to get in.
I have submitted a couple things.
Have you?
I have, yeah.
I'll have to look in the old folder.
Yeah, you have to dig through it.
I'll dig through
Maybe
it.
they went to spam.
And then also you do stand-up. I want to see you do stand-up.
Yeah. I'm
So,
working right now on a new show. It's called 40% Psychic. And because I'm 40% psychic.
Are you?
Yeah. So basically the show is me talking to people in the audience and predicting and talking to them about how...
But only being like 40%,
exactly.
right?
So it's
Can you
very
do me right
interactive.
now? Can
Yes.
you 40% psychic me?
Yes, I can.
All right, here we go.
Marty?
I need the room.
This is the thing, though. First of all, there's no audience here, so and that really helps to make it
The vibe?
to create comedy.
That's
is
true.
The audience.
It does help.
It really helps. But also, you might not like what you're going to hear.
I never do.
Okay, so I've been reading tarot for a long time, which is part of the show also.
Okay.
But and I didn't bring my tarot deck here, so I'm just going to have to use my psychic powers.
Okay.
40% of them. You're Marty. You're busy.
Mm-hmm.
You're excited about what's going on in your life right now. You've got a lot of things, a lot of ovens. What they say? Irons in the fire.
I have a lot of ovens on.
You have a lot of. You left your oven on. Let's pause this podcast. You need to go turn your oven off. But you're lonely. There's a lonely part of you.
Yeah.
You are looking for that special someone. And you can't find her partially because no one's good enough for you, and that's a drag. Because it probably has something to do with your background, your mom or your parents or something. I don't know. I don't want to make you feel bad right now, but eventually you will probably find someone who will stick around. We'll see. And it's not even necessarily about them sticking around. It's about you being open to them. So how correct am I?
We should call this 100% psychic, not
Yo,
40% psychic.
What? Did I nail it?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Of course.
Oh my God.
I mean, I think I'm pretty easy to read. You're like, anyone could look at me and be like, this guy's sad and lonely and busy.
Yeah, so that's why it's 40% psychic. It's partially psychic powers and partially just being able to read a room.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
So everybody, if you want to try to win Marty's heart, he is open a little bit, but not completely, to getting to meet you. I met my husband on Craigslist.
On Craigslist?
I did, yeah. I've told the story before.
This is not even an app.
No.
This is a place where you buy a used couch.
That's right. And I found one.
How did you meet your husband on Craigslist?
Well, I posted a list of all the things that I was looking to find in a man, all the qualities. And I got back about 300 replies.
Wow.
About 50 of them were dick pics.
Okay.
And some of them were quite impressive. I'm not going to lie. But my husband was one of the people who I connected with and I really liked, and we hit it off. And
what year was this?
This was in 2008.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a Match.com or there were
those
dating
things,
sites.
but they were kind of expensive, and I was like an artist.
And you just went Craigslist.
Yeah, I just went straight to, because I've always had really good luck with Craigslist.
That's like a misconnection almost.
Yeah, well, Craigslist.
I used to love those.
Oh yeah, they're super fun. And I've always mined Craigslist I've mined it for comedy content, because there's people write such funny posts on there. And I've gotten roommates and apartments and couches, and I was like, let's go for a husband. Why not? Let's see what have jobs. I've gotten tons of gigs off Craigslist, some really good gigs too. Yeah. So I gave it a shot and it totally worked.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was a New York Times vows. New York
really?
Times wrote about it. Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
That's amazing.
I got married on a unicorn. You'll see if you ever read the story. You'll see.
You got married on a
I got married on a unicorn.
On a unicorn?
Yeah, I rode into my ceremony on a unicorn.
So you actually have put a horn on a horse?
I did. I bought one on Etsy.
A horn?
Yeah, you can totally buy a unicorn horn on Etsy. It's super cheap. It was like $20.
And it just fits on his head?
Well,
you have to like staple gun it?
Well, yeah, I had to. I did have to hurt the horse. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I didn't. Please don't get mad.
Don't get mad.
Horse people.
It's
the
fine.
Horse did not get hurt at all. What I did was I actually called a bunch of different horse places, and I was like, hey, do you guys have any white horses that I could borrow or rent one for my wedding? And everyone was like, no, we don't do that, and they hung up on me angrily. But this one lady was like, that is so awesome. I would love to turn one of my horses into a unicorn. And she had the headpiece where they put the feathers.
Yeah.
So she sent me the bit, and I sent the bit to the Etsy lady, and the Etsy lady put it into the fabrication when she was making it. And then when she sent me the horn, it had the screw in it, so it just screwed right on.
And do you still have that horn today?
You betcha. I was so excited and happy to be married when they were packing up the horse. They were like, do you want this horn back? And I was like, keep it. And then later on, my husband was like, where's the unicorn horn? And I was like, I told her to keep it. And he was like, what? We're going to go get the unicorn horn. So we went to their house, and I was like, hey, can I have my unicorn horn back, please?
Where did you get married with this unicorn?
I got married in Cape May, New Jersey on Sunset
Lovely.
Point. Mm-hmm. It was really beautiful, right on the beach on Sunset Point.
On the beach with a unicorn?
Yeah. And it was gorgeous. It was like sunset and beautiful.
When was this wedding?
It was in March, so it was the coldest day of everyone's life. Anyone who was there was like, I loved your wedding. I've never been colder. Everybody said that.
And are there photos someplace?
Yeah, there are lots of beautiful photos of us on unicorns.
I need to see a unicorn photo. Send me something. I can put it in the post for this.
I will.
Because everyone's going to be wondering about this when they listen to this. I'm very curious about this.
I actually lost my wedding ring, which is super sad.
When? On your wedding day?
No, I lost it last year.
Okay.
And I lost it on Forsyth Street. It just slipped out of my pocket. It's a stupid story. I was getting a manicure. The lady told me to take my ring off so she could rub my hands. I put it in my pocket. I forgot it was in there. I put my phone in. I took my phone out. My ring fell out. It's gone. And so then I heard about this thing called Cape May diamonds. And I went to what they're quartz crystal that washes down the river from the Poconos. And when they get into the shipwreck there on Sunset Beach, on Sunset Point, they get stuck and twirled around and tumbled. And then they get washed up onto the shore. So there's all these little beautiful, perfect crystal pebbles that are like clear and they look like diamonds. Mm-hmm. If you've ever seen a raw diamond, that's what it looks like. It looks like a polished quartz crystal stone. So when I was there last weekend with my family for vacation. We went to the shore and I found a bunch of these stones on the beach, and I actually had it. I got a ring with the quartz crystals in it. So now
now that's your wedding ring.
That's my wedding ring.
Do you have that on?
I am not wearing it.
You lost it.
I lost it. I actually thought I lost it yesterday. I was like, oh no, but I found it. I shouldn't have rings or nice things.
Yeah,
I just lose things.
You just have to get it affixed right to your head with the thing.
I think I need maybe to just wear it on a necklace or something.
Necklaces are good.
Yeah. But I'd probably lose that. I don't know.
What's the next show you have coming up?
Okay, next show I have coming up. Let me think about this. You know what? I'm not sure. I have a bunch of videos and stuff coming out.
Okay.
I have a thing coming out with Scary Mommy. I have a thing coming out with parents.com.
Oh, nice.
I have a bunch of stories coming out. I have a story.
Do you know Andrew Knott?
The name sounds familiar.
He's like a dad writer in
yeah,
Florida.
Yeah. I do know him.
Yeah,
yes.
he's big.
I don't know him, but I know him on Medium. Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah,
He always writes weekly humor stuff, and it's always like my best dad content.
Yeah.
He's great.
So I write a lot of stuff for High Times. I've got like a bunch of stories coming out. I have a lot of stories coming out because I don't get out as much as I used to, but I do write a lot of stuff. So that's kind of how I get my kicks now.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as shows go, I just did a show. I did the mom show, the one at Word Bookstore.
Mommy comedy?
Yeah, the mom comedy show. And I've got other stuff in, I'll figure something out. I don't really care as much about performing live as I used to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's hard.
Well, and I have a baby that I have to take care of, and I can't bring the baby with me to the shows, and babysitters are expensive, and comedy doesn't pay enough usually to cover the babysitter, and it's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
So, because it's not like you do 10 minutes of comedy, but it's like 4 hours in
it
total.
takes a whole block of your day.
Right. So.
Well, if you ever want to, you can come and do the Guaranteed Delivery show, which is at 110 Wall Street,
I would
first
love
Tuesdays.
to. I want to do my 40% psychic thing there.
You could totally do it there. That'd be a lot of fun.
Work out my psychic powers.
It's first Tuesdays of the month. The next show is July 2nd. It's 8 to 10, 110 Wall Street in New York City. Free tickets available at weeklyhumorist.com. So anytime you want, you can come in August, you can use September. Just let me know what's convenient for you. We can work around your schedule because I'm very easygoing with it. But that would be fun. You could read the room and do a whole 40% psychic thing with the audience. They would love that.
Yeah, I'll probably try to do my show at Joe's Pub again.
Okay.
I really love Joe's Pub. They're really nice to me.
And the album you have out, you can people can find it on YouTube. It's Songs to Make War to, 14 Anarchist Anthems for the whole family.
That's right.
Jessica Delfino, you can find her at Jessica Delfino on Twitter. Is it jessicadelfino.com?
JessicaDelfino.com. I'm also on Instagram at Jessica Delfino, and I'm on Medium at One and Done Mom. I'm all over the place.
All over the place. Yeah. So check out Jessica Delfino, all over the place. This is so much fun. Thank you so much fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, everybody. This is Talkward. I'm Marty Dundix. Follow us at Weekly Humorist and sign up for our e-newsletter at weeklyhumorist.com. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Talkward. Please subscribe, follow us, and visit weeklyhumorist.com.